Alright, so this is level 2 for 6.4, standard form. Alright, so we're going to talk about what if they give you a point and a slope. Okay, so given a point and a slope, put it into standard form. So here's my point and here's my slope. You might think, well, what if we put it into point slope form? Point slope form. If you remember that, that's y minus y1 is equal to your slope times the quantity x minus x1. Alright, so let's go ahead and put it in that and see what we get here. So if I plug this in, I get y minus my y value, my slope times the quantity of x minus my x value. In this particular example, minus a negative will turn into plus. Okay, so step number 1 done. Next thing I would want to do is probably distribute. Okay, it's about the only thing I can do here, so I'm going to go ahead and distribute and multiply that 1 out. Left hand side stays the same, y minus 2. Over here I get 1 times x, which is just x, 1 times 3, which is just 3. So that's good so far. Next, if I add this 2, I'm going to isolate my y value. So if I add 2 to both sides, I get y equals x plus 5, and that happens to be called slope-intercept form. And then the last thing I would do in this case is, it's very close to being standard form. Last thing I need to do is to move that over. In this case, I'm going to isolate my constant, which in this instance was 5. So if I subtract x on both sides, I'm going to get negative x positive y equals 5. And that is standard form. Okay, so we went from put into point slope form, change it to slope intercept form, finally ending in standard form. Okay, and here's the second example. Let's try this one out. Feel free to pause the video, try it by yourself first, and then go from there. So once again, point slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to my slope times the quantity of x minus x1. Okay, in this example, minus a negative will turn into plus, right? Really that's asking for the opposite of a negative 4, so that's positive. Okay, so there we go. That is point slope form. From there, I'm going to distribute. So we're going to go left hand side stays the same, but if I distribute my fraction here, I get negative 3 halves x minus 3 times 4 is 12 over 2, which I'm going to simplify that in just a moment here. So over here, what I'm going to end up doing is, well, let me go and take that step. I'll simplify it. See, negative 12 divided by 2, well, that's negative 6. Now what I can do is I can isolate my y value, right? Subtract 4 on both sides. I get y equals negative 3 halves x, and then I get negative 10, just like that. Alright, so this would be called slope-intercept form. Now if I just get my constant by itself, I can add 3 halves x on both sides. Right, and I end up with 3 halves x plus y equals negative 10. Now you might be saying this is standard form, and what I need to tell you here to simplify this, we talked about this in classes, I don't want to have a fraction as part of any of my coefficients. So what I can do now is I can go ahead and multiply by 2 over 1. If I multiply by 2 over 1, this fraction will go away, and I'm going to have an equivalent equation. So multiply by 2 over 1, I get 3x, I get 2y, and I get equals negative 20. And that would be standard form. Okay, so if you're having some issues with this, talk to me in class about getting rid of fractions, and that will be helpful. All right, enjoy.